When awareness is brought into emotion, power is brought into your life. I'm Fawad J. Fateh and today we'll be presenting EI. Now what is EI? EI is basically the ability of a person to manage, understand and relate to his emotions and to the emotions of those around him. Our slide will be covering upon three major subtopics. The first one is the different models of emotional intelligence. The second one is the different modes of measurement of these according to these models. And the third is the relationship between EI and our social behaviors. So the term EI was first coined by Michael Bauchner in 1964, but its use gained quite a popularity surge when the book EI and Why It Matters More Than IQ was published in 1995. This is the time I introduced the term emotional quotient. So emotional quotient is basically the measurement of a person's emotional knowledge and ability, and it is usually represented by a score, a test score or a grade. It was coined by Reuven Bar-On in 1985. You can find all these references in the slide number 3 of our presentation under the trivia section. Okay. So different scientists and psychologists have written research papers, dissertations, and proposed different models in order to debunk the myth of EI. So you might ask, what is a model? Let me tell you that a model is nothing but a scientist's interpretation, views, and research about the subject topic of EI. Everyone's views can be different. Just like Sir Isaac Newton thought that the light consisted of wave nature, but Einstein's photoelectric effect proved that light actually consists of photons as well. Everyone can have their different views about the topic. Even I think some of us might come up with an EI model later in our lives. So basically, now I will give you a gist of why EI correlates to our social behaviors and why it is important in the corporate world. In a study conducted in 2004 by Ferguson, Pedridge, and Funnell, they found out that the persons with high emotional intelligence but standard or substandard IQ would climb the corporate ladder higher, faster, and would be considered better managers than people with high IQ but low EI or even standard EI. Now, the thing to ponder is that if IQ is everything, why wouldn't the people with the highest IQ scores or biggest brains or the biggest nerds get into the higher managerial positions in major corporations? I think this is because of the fact that you need to perceive others' emotions. As you're working with many people, you're not working alone in major corporations. So a person with high IQ and EI might be the most suitable person might not be the best person for the job, but he may not be the most suitable person for the job because he doesn't know how to handle with emotions of other people. Secondly, in 2008, a study found out that more than 147 major pharmaceutical companies and firms, and generally many major firms, had funded billions of dollars into organizing workshops, seminars regarding to the emotional training of their employees. This shows that the new world, the new corporate business world, is giving a slight preference to EI over IQ. Now, to further elaborate upon the different models of EI and the modes of measurement, I would like to give the podium to my fellow presenter.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Zaid. As you have been introduced that what is emotional intelligence, we are here to take a look at some of the some of the researches that is carried throughout the time period. So the first research that we have is difference of emotional intelligence among generations. So success in workplace requires more than just education, book knowledge, and experience. So this research is used to see that if there is a significant difference between different generations. The generation that were in the research are baby boomers, X generation, and Y generation. These are the words that is used to define different generations. Baby boomers are 1946 to 1964, whereas X generation are from 1965 to 1979, and Y generation is from 1979 to 1980 to 1999. Okay, so the hypothesis was that there is not any significant difference between the different generations. So and the material that is used is actually the Chance E112 2000 that was developed in 2006, which is actually a questionnaire survey with a Likert scale from 1 to 5, where 1 is not important to 5 is very important. So very important, which captures the general information about the emotional intelligence level among the different generation employees. So here are the results, and you can see that there is not any significant difference among these generations. Although you can see that the baby boomers are at a higher level, but overall it's not that enough. They are all on the same phase. So so moving on to the next one is that does EI and its dimension have effects on the job performance? So this research is carried among teachers because as we know that many educational institutions have rapidly changing, which is impacting the teachers' ability and job performance both. So both performance. So the research hypothesis was actually that does dimensions affect their performance. What are the dimensions? Well, what are the dimensions? So the dimensions are defined by Goleman, according to Goleman, that are self-regulation, self-awareness, self-motivation, and social skills. So the research shows us that is there a difference between them. So the hypothesis is that they have a very positive effect on the job performance. So the materials and the method was same as the previous ones, which is actually the Chance E112 scale with the Likert scale ranging from 1 to 5. Okay, so there is a result, and you can see there are a number of items, which is actually the number of questions in the variables, and the convex alpha is the measure of internal consistency, that how closely related a set of items are as a group. Okay, and it implies a higher internal consistency when it ranges from 0.70 to 0.80. As you can see, they are all between these numbers. If the numbers are bit high or bit low, that does not mean that it's unidimensional or something. It's just that is about 0.70 to 0.80, and that is fine. So you can see that they have a very positive impact on the job performances. So moving on to the next one, that is does emotional intelligence affects work-life balance of employees? So the professionals, so the employers that have the basic objective of that study is to check if EI is to study EI role in work, family conflicts, and quality and happiness in the professional life, in the employer's life. So the research hypothesis that lesser the WIF and FIW conflicts, higher will be the EI, and if EI will be higher, the quality and happiness will be also higher for the professional or the employee. So what is FIW and WIF? If family interfering work, that is FIW, and work interfering family, that is WIF. So let's take a look at the results, and you can see that all are proving the hypothesis that there is a negative correlation between WIF and FIW and emotional intelligence, which proves the theory that the higher will be the WIF, lesser will be the emotional intelligence. And you can see that the positive correlationship between the quality work and happiness, which shows that there is a positive relationship between them. So the basic of that research is that it is quite challenging to manage work with family, personal with profession. So the organization should carry some programs that help them to cover with that solution. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ali Panjwani, and I'll be talking about measurement methods to measure your emotional. There are three main measurement methods to measure your emotional intelligence. Those three are Goleman method, Baron method, and Silver-Mirror method. These three methods are more or less the same, but with a different wordplay. First of all, We'll talk about the first point, that is self-awareness. You should be self-aware about your emotions, your actions, your reactions, your impulse actions, and to be aware about them, you can practice them by writing some journals and thinking about yourself. This will reflect about your emotions to you. The next thing is self-regulation. You should know what you think, what is your thinking pattern, and why you're reacting like this, what your impulse actions are, and why are they happening. To that, you should reflect about your day at night before sleeping so you can think about all your impulse actions, your wrong decisions, your right decisions, and your emotions controlling you or you controlling your emotions. Next thing is internal motivation. This is one of the most important things, as you should be really passionate about what you do in your life to be internally motivated. No one can motivate you from outside, but you should be internally motivated. For that, you should take your work seriously, your job seriously, your passion seriously, or you should love what you do. The next thing is empathy. While we talk about emotional intelligence, we should not only think about ourselves, but also about others. The actions and reactions about others, what they have the effect on us and our relationship, and how should we react on their actions. We should have empathy towards everyone, especially our clients and our colleagues. The next thing is social skills. You should talk to everybody, your friends, your family, your colleagues, to know what socially is happening to you and with your mind. You should talk to people politely and with respect. If you have all these qualities, we can say that you're a strong, emotionally intelligent person. But if you're weak, you can also practice these things and these skills and get these skills and be a strong, emotional, motivated person. Thank you.
Now, today we'll be talking about three things: importance of emotional intelligence, why emotional intelligence is better than intelligence quotient, and the last but not the least, how one can increase his or her emotional intelligence. So, let's discuss our first subtopic: importance of emotional intelligence. Why emotional intelligence is important? So, to answer these questions, we will go to the studies and researches done by scientists for decades, tens of years, and in it they studied two types of people: the people with high IQ, intelligence quotient, and the people with more EQ, emotional quotient. Through these researches they found that the people that had more IQ wasn't that successful in their life rather than the people which had more EQ. So they concluded that EQ is more important than IQ. So let's now move on to our second topic, which is how can one increase his or her EQ, emotional intelligence. So the answer to that we will find in Daniel Goleman's book named as Emotional Intelligence 2.0, in which he states that there are four things in which one need to consider to increase his or her emotional intelligence. The number one thing being leadership skills. If you want to increase your emotional skills or quotient, so you may want to practice on your leadership skills. By practicing on your leadership skills, your emotional quotient or EQ will increase substantially. The next thing that Goldman suggests to do in order to increase EQ is to be social. One needs to be more social in order to substantially increase his or her EQ level. To be more social means to be more extrovert. This point is given for introverts, those who are not so much social, those who don't interact with people that lot, and those who are more comfortable with themselves and not with groups. So Goldman suggests that they need to work on their social skills in order to increase their EQ. The third point which one needs to focus in order to increase his EQ is positive attitude. One needs to maintain a positive attitude towards life, towards relationships, and towards his or her career. By doing this, he will substantially increase his or her emotional skills. The last but not the least, respond instead of reacting. Goldman says that people sometimes uh, don't need to react on situations, rather than they need to respond to them. By doing this, they can harm themselves. So they need to respond to situations rather than reacting to them. By practicing on these four things, one can increase his or her emotional intelligence. Now, we are moving towards our last subtopic, which is why emotional intelligence is better than IQ. For the answer of this, we will move on to Goldman's book named Emotional Intelligence 2.0, in which he tells us a story. Let me share that story with you. In that story, he tells about his college days. In his college days, he met a guy who was a brilliant guy, who had almost perfect scores in all the college entrance exams. So, he was Goldman's colleague, you can say classmate. So, Goldman shares with us that he had a high IQ, but he wasn't so manageable. He couldn't get up early, he couldn't finish his papers, he also couldn't come to time for his classes. What happened was he graduated in 8 years. And on the other hand, he tells us a story about his 20th college reunion, in which he tells us that on his 20th college reunion, he met his friend, his former friend. He asked about his whereabouts, what he was doing in his life, and came to know that he is a very successful man in life. He is living a very successful life. David Goldman shares us his past experiences that he was not so good in his college days. He was a so-so guy with not so good marks in his classes, but was a great human being. He was a human being who we can relate to. He was funny, he was happy. He was the one he was the one whom you can share your feelings with. Now, when he met him 20 years ago, he came to know that he is a vice president of a company whose net worth is in billions. From these two stories, we can conclude that the person with the higher IQ was not successful in life or in business, rather than the person with the higher EQ. So, through these stories, Goldman tried us to tell the importance of EQ. So that was EQ and its attributes. Today we discussed about the importance of EQ, why EQ is more important than IQ, and how one can increase his or her IQ. Now, the first thing I want you to do is practice these traits in your daily life and try to increase your EQ as much as possible. Thank you.